Cameraman back there? Okay. Ask everyone to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The roll, please.
Belkey.
Here.
Belzak.
Here.
Kenny.
Here.
Marquez.
Here.
McIver.
Here.
Shower.
Here.
Seifert.
Here.
7 present.
We have a quorum. The next item is an opportunity for anyone in the audience to ask questions, comments, or announcements of a general nature. If anyone in the audience would like to address the council at this point, please step forward. Then let's move on to the approval of minutes. We have the minutes of the February 18th, 2014 meeting. Do I have a motion to approve? Alderman Belkey, seconded by Alderman Shower. Any additions or deletions for the clerk? Then the roll, please.
Belkey.
Aye.
Shower.
Aye.
Seifert.
Aye.
McIver.
Aye.
Marquez.
Aye.
Belzak.
Aye.
Kenny.
Aye.
7 ayes.
The minutes have been approved. Let's move on to receiving of communications. Do any of the aldermen have communications to share? I think we were all saddened to see the email today announcing that come May 31st of this year that Carmelite Carefree Village will cease to operate. It was a sad event. It will be a sad event to see that business closed down. So we just wanted to make everyone in the community aware of that. If there's no other communications, let's move on to the mayor's report. And I am looking out at the audience, and I do not see Don Hickok or Susan Vonderheide here. But we could go ahead and then they could come in to be sworn in.
Yes, that's
Okay. Under the mayor's report, item A is a motion to approve the reappointment of Don Hickok and Susan Vonderheide to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Alderman Marquez, seconded by Alderman McIver. Any discussion? The roll, please.
Marquez.
Aye.
McIver.
Aye.
Seifert.
Aye.
Shower.
Aye.
Belkey.
Aye.
Belzak.
Aye.
Kenny.
Aye.
7 ayes.
They have been reappointed, and if they do come in a little bit later, we'll stop to swear them in. Item B is a motion to approve the appointment of David Kessler to the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners. You have his resume in the packet. Do I have a motion to appoint? Alderman Seifert, seconded by Alderman Shower. Discussion. The roll, please.
Seifert.
Aye.
Shower.
Aye.
Belkey.
Aye.
Kenny.
Aye.
McIver.
Aye.
Belzak.
Aye.
Marquez.
Aye.
7 ayes.
David has been approved, and David and his wife Elizabeth are here. David, would you come up forward and be sworn in, please?
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, David Kessler,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of Fire and Police Commission
of Fire and Police Commission
according to the best of your ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Very good, thank you. And I have a card for you to sign. And then I have an appointment card also. And congratulations. Thank you.
David, thank you for accepting. Thank you very much. I think the other alderman would like to shake your hand here.
It's tradition. Dave, thank you very much. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you for volunteering.
Okay. And And the other fellow that you're sitting behind, David, happens to be Frank Novarini, who happens to be on the commission too. He's the next item on the agenda under the mayor's report. A motion to approve the reappointment of Frank Novarini to the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners. Alderman Seifert, seconded by Alderman Shower. Discussion? The roll, please.
Seifert.
Aye.
Shower.
Aye.
Belkey.
Aye.
Kenny.
Aye.
Belzak.
Aye.
McIver.
Nay. Oh, I mean aye.
Marquez.
Aye.
7 ayes.
You know what? No, he's not even in your ward. You're not dissing the right guy here. Okay. Okay, come on up, Frank.
He's my neighbor. I wouldn't do it.
Which Joe?
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, and state your name.
I, Frank Mulvaney,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United
I will
States
support the Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the Fire and Police Commission
of Fire and Police Commission
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. And I just have a reappointment card for you. You don't need to sign anything.
You've already signed once. Thank you very much.
Thank
for
you.
serving.
Congratulations,
Yes.
Frank. Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks, Frank.
Okay. Okay.
That's me that usually.
Sylvia.
You might want to give it. You want to give it to those guys.
Have you got sickies on both sides here? Oh, him,
I'm
okay.
good. I'm all good.
Okay, thank you very much.
I worked
Thank
out
you.
today. I'm all good.
Let's move on to the city clerk's report.
Just one item, Madam Mayor. The meet and greet with the mayor will take place on Monday, March 17th at 6 p.m. here in the City Hall in the upstairs conference room.
City administrator's report.
Thank you, Mayor Weaver. Just one item. This is, I guess, the time of the year where residents are getting a lot of phone solicitations for donations. I had a call from a resident this morning saying it was our police department and the union. Probably a little bit confused. Those are certainly confusing calls. Those are not coming from our police officers. They're coming from union or private companies hired by the union or other organizations asking for donations. I give residents the same advice I gave my mother and my grandmother and my in-laws. Don't contribute on phone solicitations is the best bet. So if they have questions, they can certainly, residents can call myself or Chief Brown.
Thank you. Let's move to department head information or questions. Any reports from the, no reports? Okay, do any of the aldermen have questions for any of the department heads? Alderman Shower?
Yes, Dan, how many water breaks have we had so far this year? And I'm just curious. I know we average about 30 to 35. And
We're discussing that today, we're up to 60.
Mm-hmm. I think the last time you reported at our last council meeting, it was 51.
That was close,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, now it's up to 60.
gotcha.
If I
Yes.
could make a comment, I know that we had some questions about the snow removal over the weekend in our area. And I guess just to clarify, the same crews that do the snow removal are also addressing the broken water main. So I guess just urging people to be patient and, in weather like this in particular, because especially the weekend, I would think the water main breaks take precedence.
Yeah, we've accustomed our residents to excellent snow plowing services. So if and when it doesn't happen, there's got to be a reason for it, and it looks like you're right. Water mains probably do take.
This was I was the offender today, so. But I had a chance to talk to the crews, and it made a lot of sense. But I wanted to make sure that people in the audience knew the same.
Very good. Okay. Any other questions for any of the department heads? Let's move on to the treasurer's report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This evening, I'm requesting council's approval of warrant number 131420, the amount of $96,811.95 from the listed funds, payroll for the period ended February 20th, 2014, and the amount of $254,453.96, for a total to be approved of $351,265.91.
Motion to approve. Alderman Belzak, seconded by Alderman Seifert. Any questions for the treasurer? The roll, please.
Belzak,
Aye.
Seifert,
Aye.
McIver,
Aye.
Shower,
Aye.
Belkey,
Aye.
Marquez,
Aye.
Kenny,
Aye.
7 ayes and no nays.
The warrant has been approved. Standing committee reports. Do the Alderman Shower first?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. The minutes of our February 3rd, 2014 Admin Finance meeting have been turned into the clerk's office, and our next Admin Finance Budget Meeting, Committee of the Whole, will be tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. in our council chambers. Our next Admin Finance meeting will be April 7th, 2014 at 6 p.m. in our upstairs meeting room.
Alderman Marquez?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Municipal Services Committee approved and submitted the minutes of the January 27th Municipal Services Committee to the clerk's office. And our next meeting, although it's a ways off, is March 24th, Monday, March 24th at 6:30 here in the council chambers.
Thank you. Alderman McIver?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Alderman Seifert, for letting me borrow the calendar. Our next police committee meeting will be on Monday, March 17th at 6:30 p.m. in the police training room across the parking lot.
You mean six, don't you?
6 p.m., I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's move on to questions and comments, agenda-related. I guess I'd open it up to the council if there was any other questions on the consent agenda, because typically the consent agenda does not have a question and answer time. Is there any questions? Okay. I think someone, did you want to address the council? Sure, come on up. Is it on one of the items on the agenda?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Okay, we had that opportunity for you to speak at the very beginning of the meeting, but we'll,
At the beginning, doesn't it indicate general issues, and this is specific to the council agenda?
okay, you could have spoken to any of those items, but please go ahead.
Okay, my apologies.
Yeah, no, identify yourself?
Yes, my name is Kristen Jungles. I'm with the Main Street Organization of Realtors. I'm here on behalf of their 15,000 members. I'm a resident of Naperville. I wanted to address your ordinance 17D that you're considering. It's the crime-free residential housing ordinance. As a general rule, the Realtor Association is against crime-free housing ordinances just because it's further regulation to our property owners. In this particular case, those property owners may be 10 or more that have those 10-unit buildings. There's a number of municipalities that have considered crime-free housing ordinances, and what they've discovered after they look at where the crime calls are coming from, that it's not necessarily a need to regulate all of these 10-unit buildings, but more so to address the landlords and educating the landlords. Naperville is a perfect example of that. Naperville chose, instead of making a mandatory requirement to all of their landlords, simply offering that as a service if they need to further educate the landlords about the people that they're renting to. So, and other municipalities, when they've looked at it, do not have some of the regulations that you're including in this ordinance. This one specifically asks that they register every single year. Well, a realtor would tell you there's not going to be a lot of turnover on these 10-unit properties to require that type of a registration every single year. The other thing is, when you look at the training component in here, it indicates 3 years. So why wouldn't the two just coincide with one another? Another thing that's not included in here, when you do have training, there's a lot of municipalities that do offer it. Aurora is one, Batavia is one. But what they offer is reciprocal agreements. So if a landlord has completed that training in another municipality, they can then in turn offer that certificate up to your police force. So that would qualify as completing the training versus requiring them to do that here. And I know when you look at the fees, it does seem like a minimal fee with the $10 registration, but it also includes language in this ordinance that requires for your city attorney to review their documentation, and it doesn't indicate a fee for that. So haven't met an attorney that doesn't charge. So I'm just concerned about what that additional cost is going to be to the landlords as well, and a couple of other items.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't think anyone else is here to address the council. Okay, let's move on to old business. And there being no old business, we'll move right to the consent agenda. And for the viewing audience, I'd like to read the items. We have items A through E. The first is a motion to approve an ordinance authorizing the sale of personal property owned by the city of Darien which includes a wireless receiver, a transmitter, HP LaserJet printer, iPods, and miscellaneous items. The next item, item B, is a motion to approve a resolution approving and publishing our updated City of Darien official zoning map. Item C is a motion to approve an ordinance granting a one-year extension to the previously approved minor amendment to an approved planned unit development at our Darien Town Center for the AMVET Collection Center. Item D is a motion to approve a resolution accepting the unit price proposal for analytical soil testing fees from Testing Services Corporation at the proposed unit prices for certain waste for a period of May 1, 2014 through April 30th, 2015. And the last item is a motion to approve a resolution accepting a proposal from Associated Technical Services for our 2013-14 water leak survey in an amount of $8,288.28 for leak detection phase and a per unit cost for the leak location phase in an amount of $350 per main line or service leak and $95 per fire hydrant leak or main line valve for a total amount not to exceed $14,500. Do I have a motion to approve these items? Alderman Kenny, seconded by Alderman Seifert. The roll, please.
Kenny?
Aye.
Seifert?
Aye.
Shower?
Aye.
Belzak?
Aye.
McIver?
Aye.
Marquez?
Aye.
Belkey?
Aye.
7 ayes.
All items have been approved. Under new business, the first item is a motion to approve a resolution authorizing the city administrator to execute the First Amendment to Structure Lease Agreement with General Communications dated May 16th, 2013, to allow General Communications to locate a wireless dish project on our Darien water tank at 1220 Plainfield Road. Motion made by Alderman Shower, seconded by Alderman Kenny. Any discussion? Yes.
Madam Mayor, this was approved in our admin finance meeting, 3-0.
It was a case where they were going to construct their dish on our standpipe or our tower over by the Public Works facility, but that didn't work out. So now they've moved it. We propose that they move it to our water tower at 1220 Plainfield Road. Yes, Alderman Belkey?
Yes, so in the admin finance meeting, we had a representative from General Communications, and she provided photos of what this would look like, and it blends really nice with the color of the water tower. You could barely see it.
Yeah, when you looked at the photo, you didn't realize it was a photo. There had been photoshopped with the thing in there, so you couldn't tell. So it was good work.
Okay. All right, then, the roll, please.
Shower?
Aye.
Kenny?
Aye.
Belkey?
Aye.
Belzak?
Aye.
Marquez?
Aye.
McIver?
Aye.
Seifert?
Aye.
7 ayes.
The motion is passed. Item B is a motion to direct staff to propose city code amendments. 1, for a text amendment to the zoning ordinance to list medical cannabis cultivation and dispensing establishments as special uses in our Industrial 1 General Industrial District, and number 2, addressing medical cannabis possession. Do I have a motion to approve? Alderman Marquez, seconded by Alderman Belkey. I believe this will generate some discussion. Alderman Belkey?
I guess, Dan, if you could step in a little bit about the cultivation and the dispensing or requirements and what we talked about in municipal with the zoning.
Sure. Basically, in summary, what this zoning will do is provide a location for medical marijuana to be either cultivated or dispensed. First of all, on the cultivation part, the city does not have any land available for the cultivation, nor does it meet the requirements of the state law. On the dispensing portion, we do have a couple properties that would be able to dispense marijuana. One of them is located where the Darien Public Works facility is, and the next one is right behind the Public Works facility, referred to as the Great Dane property at this point. So for whatever reason, those properties were to be sold and redeveloped, the opportunity does exist for the distribution of it there.
Now, you're not suggesting that we would be cultivating or having dispensing at our public works facility. That is correct, right?
That is correct, yes.
Okay.
Well, we couldn't cultivate if we wanted to, because we don't have we don't have the space to allow for that to happen, correct?
We could find some farmlands.
You know, I try to help you out, and you throw it right back at me, thanks.
A lot for your
Thanks.
budget, though,
Alderman
wouldn't it?
Marquez?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, I think it's important for people to understand that the reason we're doing this is to provide the language in the ordinance. Now, we don't have anybody who's come
Right.
to us
Yeah.
and said, we want to build a medical cannabis distribution center. We're doing this so that when somebody does come, we just hand them the ordinance and they understand the limitations of the ordinance.
Very good. Alderman Seifert?
Just to add on that, because we discussed at the meeting about doing nothing at all, because there's state statute that governs what the criteria are for zoning for this. So we really didn't want to have that argument after somebody comes and approaches the city about where they can put it. We'd rather lay it out there now, and then really the burden would be on them to show the city that, you know, there's other areas that qualify. So we all thought this was a very proactive thing to do.
Proactive is the word, yes. Okay. Any other discussion? Then the roll, please. This will be, yeah, I'm sorry, this will be just to bring back a city code amendment to the city council for a further review. Go ahead.
Marquez.
Aye.
Belkey.
Aye.
Belzak.
Aye.
Kenny.
Aye.
Shower.
Aye.
McIver.
Aye.
Seifert.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Motion has been approved. Item C is a motion to approve a resolution stating the position of the mayor and city council regarding the city of Darien's funding of crossing guards for School District 61. Do I have a motion to approve? Alderman Belkey, seconded by Alderman Kenny. In essence, what it says is that we will, because our budget year ends on April 30th, there is a shortfall of time from that point until school ends. And so the city council decided to fund the crossing guards until the end of this school year with no further funding of crossing guards in the future. Any other discussion? Alderman McIver?
And I did see that city manager Brian Vanna did send something to the superintendent regarding that.
Yeah, I sent them after our last meeting. The council talked about it. I sent it to Bob Carlo. I think coincidentally, they were also meeting that night, and he was going to send me something the next morning saying that the school was not going to have crossing guards for that gap period, and they were just going to bus the students. So I haven't received that yet, but I believe it's on its way.
It's a long way from there over here, you know.
Well,
Excuse me. Okay, did we haven't voted on that?
No.
Okay. The roll, please.
Belkey.
Aye.
Kenny.
Aye.
Belzak.
Aye.
Seifert.
Aye.
Shower.
Aye.
McIver.
Aye.
Marquez.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Motion has been approved. The resolution has been approved. Item D is a motion to approve an ordinance amending Title 8 of the Darien City Code to add a Chapter 23, which is described as crime-free residential housing requirements. Do I have a motion to approve? Alderman McIver, seconded by Alderman Belzak. Discussion? Alderman Seifert?
I do have a couple questions. At the outset, I think at a goal-setting session, we had 2 sample ordinances, isn't that right?
Yes, sir.
It was Chicago and
No.
Arlington? No.
It wasn't Chicago. It was, I believe it was Aurora and
possibly
Schaumburg.
Woodridge too. Might have had chief. I don't recall.
Richton Park was one of them.
Now, was this modeled by any particular ordinance, or did we just come up with this by ourselves?
The city attorney drafted
Okay.
the ordinance.
Did we do a survey of like surrounding communities to see what they're doing?
We've looked at a number of them. The primary basis, I would say, is Richton Park. That's one that Attorney Murphy worked extensively on with one of the realtor associations, and found that they were amenable to that one. So this one is largely based off that one. There are a few items in there that we changed to try to adapt to ourselves. One, probably the best example, is the licensing fee, which we made $10 per unit. We saw a lot of them, many of them significantly higher, but we didn't see that as a we're not viewing this as a revenue source. So that's one area where we deviated, but there's probably a couple other areas.
Okay. Has anybody looked at to see how this, I mean, there's a lot of Section 8 housing in the city of Darien. I mean, with this.
A lot?
Well,
I-
quite a few.
Yeah, I would be just careful to say that.
I mean, how do this crime-free housing ordinance and that interact with one another?
Well, Section 8 has a specific set of guidelines governed by the federal government on that. And what we did is we framed our request from the police department side based on where we were receiving the most calls at.
Okay, so if there's Section 8 housing and there's this crime-free ordinance in place, can the landlord still take the same measures that he would if it was not Section 8?
Say that again, Alderman. I'm sorry.
If the unit being rented is a Section 8 unit and this crime-free housing addendum is on the lease,
Yes,
can the
have.
landlord still take the same steps he would otherwise take?
The Section 8 housing actually has a more restrictive lease requirement than the crime-free housing ordinance.
And then I guess one thing that bothers me a little bit reading the ordinance, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you have a single mother of 4 children and one of the children is a bit of a problem child, let's say he's 17, 18, and he's causing some trouble at school and outside of school, and, you know, crimes are being committed. So now we have a single mother with 4 children, 3 of whom are not causing these problems, possibly being evicted.
That does present itself as a potential issue, yes, sir.
So
but I think the whole issue here is compelling accountability for conduct.
Right.
And without that accountability, then the police are accountable, the elected officials are accountable, and if you don't hold the landlord and the leaseholder accountable, then you certainly run into problems there.
But we are harming a lot of non-accountable people.
Well,
responsible.
In terms of some of Alderman Kinney's concerns, the fact about someone who calling as a victim, I think early on we identified that as a problem in terms of domestic violence or other issues where someone is being victimized, and that would not present itself as cause for eviction or cause for action.
I mean, would there be a way of redrafting the ordinance that if, let's say, in my hypothetical, that situation occurred, that the tenant would be responsible to remove that problem person from the premises, as opposed to evicting the entire family because the 18-year-old kid's getting into trouble?
Can I give you something based on my experience, Alderman? And
Sure.
Based on the experience, when there have been judges who've taken exactly that step as a precursor to eviction, and it does not work. That mom is not going to prevent that son from coming back and doing whatever he wants as a rule. So.
Robert, I guess then it seems to me then she would have. I mean, then that's her choice, right? No longer, because on the way it's written, it's not her choice to be evicted, right? It's something the child did. She may not even have knowledge of it.
But I think we have to acknowledge that it's her responsibility. It's her child. She has a responsibility for it, knowing what he's doing. And I know this seems kind of obtuse because this is Darien, and I want to be clear that this is preemptive and proactive, not necessarily addressing what's going on right this second, but the potential certainly exists there.
But at some level, I think we're shifting the buck a little bit.
Alderman McIver?
I think one of the discussions we had at the police committee was that there's the ordinance and then there's still the process, the eviction process, whereby I think situations like the one that Alderman Seifert may have brought up would be, you know, you still have to go through that process with the judge making determinations. You know, it isn't just, you know, pack your bags and go. At least that's my understanding. I'm certainly not an attorney, and you are. But that was my understanding that you know, even though this may start a series of events, it still has to go before a judge, and the judge makes the final determination.
That is correct.
Right. You know, having done some evictions in the past myself, eviction court is pretty streamlined. I would assume under this case scenario, you'd probably give it 10 days notice for violating the terms of the lease. Judge is going to say, did you violate the terms of the lease by violating this ordinance? And if the answer is yes, then, you know, the story's great and the judge will listen to it, but the result's going to be the same. The eviction's going to take place.
Can I weigh in one other thing? I've never seen a case where a crime-free housing ordinance or one-strike rule with CHA or the Section 8 counterpart have been used against a family that was really trying to do the right thing. that this is largely geared towards people who step so far out of bounds that they present a threat to the community.
Chief, what was your response months ago when you had all the landlords together and you talked about this before this ordinance came to fruition?
First off, all the landlords that we talked to, that we met with at the developments, the complexes that we talked about, were all already participate with their companies in some type of crime-free housing ordinance. And one of the things that we were doing is bringing to light what the problems were. At that particular time, we had become aware that there was an individual who's incarcerated in the Illinois Department of Corrections who was about to be released, who had a very, very checkered background and would have presented a set of serious problems to Darien. And we went to the landlord with it. They were unaware of it. We talked to them about it. There was some stopgap measures put in place, but ultimately the person who was going to be paroled here died before he could get out of prison. So.
Wow. If there's no other, Alderman Belke?
Right, so part of, how this began and things is the large amount of calls that are going to these multifamily units. And also, one of the points that the lady did bring up, I thought made sense, the reciprocal. Is that something you've seen so that they don't have to do it if they're already gone through that training in another community? And the timing, can you address if everything's yearly that you've seen, or if there's other ones that are taking part in this every few years?
Because a lot of the tenants are transient, I think monitoring on a yearly basis is key, because things can change from one period to another, and oftentimes the person, the on-site landlord or on-site manager, if it's a company involved, changes. And so I think it's critical that the people that we interact with, we have a certain level of assuredness that they know what they're doing in terms of it. So I don't think the yearly certification is out of the question.
Didn't we discuss that some of these landlords also aren't present in the state of Illinois, and that's one of the issues we have?
That is also correct.
Alderman Belke, one other question that you mentioned was the reciprocal agreements. Originally, we looked at possibly combining with other communities to provide the training. So if Woodridge or Darien had one officer between the two communities, what we found is a lot of the ordinances were quite different. Woodridge, as an example, is much, much stronger and requires some inspections and required lighting. And in talking with Woodridge as an example, it just didn't really make sense because theirs was so much more stringent. Because ours is a little unique, we never really investigated that a whole lot further.
Brian?
Oh, I'm sorry, Chief, I don't know if you have the ordinance open now, but maybe you could comment, or Scott, because I know Scott also helped work with Attorney Murphy, but Section 823-4 talks about nuisance of residential rental property violations by tenants. And I don't know if that addresses some of the questions Alderman Seifert raised, or if I did not understand that, but that addresses a tenant having 3 or more city ordinance violations. So where does that come into play?
Would you say
section?
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
that
looking
section. I was just listening to Alderman Seifert's questions, and then looking at section 8-23-4, how that interplays with the Alderman's question.
So basically, when we frame this, what we looked at is how many calls, let's say, we looked at how many calls were at Farmingdale, and then we looked at a similar residential area on the other side of town and how many calls they had during the same time frame with a comparable number of residents. And so what we're searching or seeking to do is to prevent one area from being the total focus of calls for service, or one unit in one area where we've been there 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times.
Okay, so what I'm talking about specifically, Section B talks about 3 or more city ordinance violations. Is that an attempt to try to be able to work with certain situations to remediate a bad activity, or?
Well, we'll always be working with them to remediate negative activity. I'm not sure if.
Well, I'm just trying to clarify section 823-4. Scott, maybe you can help on that.
When we were talking with Attorney Murphy about this ordinance, we had several model ordinances that provided a number of offenses that could really be a guideline for usage of this ordinance to enforce this on the landlord. And we, like everyone else, wanted to make sure no one would take it as you commit one offense and the city gets involved in trying to force an eviction or go after the landlord for this. That general guideline in section 8-23-4 was the violation of 3 ordinance violations in a 12-month period. Which,
Okay.
if you commit one offense, if you commit 2 offenses, if you commit 3 offenses, that was seen as something that we could
And-
defend as
Okay,
being
I don't know if that helps
I think
your
to
question.
me, that's, I mean, when I read the ordinance, the ordinance violations is different than like criminal activity. I mean, those are 2 different things. So, to me,
Okay.
so that's where I think
Your
that section-
question related to the criminal.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
And I mean, I could see an ordinance coming to play under that paragraph as well. So, and again, I'm not necessarily against crime-free ordinances. One question I also had, and I don't know the answer, is, if there is a legal issue with treating tenants differently than owners of property, because in my scenario, you can have the same family living in a 3-bedroom ranch with a 17, 18-year-old son who's causing problems, and there is no repercussions like that, which the person in the rental unit is suffering. So we're really treating 2 similar people very differently. One gets to stay, one gets to be evicted. I don't know if there's a legal issue with that. I really don't know the answer to that.
Well, one of the things we had talked about with the attorney previously, and I think in our research on crime-free housing, it really treats, rental units as a business. So if somebody owns 3 or 4 buildings or apartment buildings, that's a business like we regulate business now, whereas opposed to your second example, that's somebody's home, it's not a business. So there are differences in those 2 primarily for that.
'Cause I know in my ward we had a residence that there was criminal activity going on
But if I
for a
don't-
long period of time, and really nothing outside the person getting arrested and coming back doing the same thing, nothing's changes.
one thing that Attorney Murphy did give us some advice on was trying to really define the problem. And the problem was identified in a much larger number of calls to multifamily units, whereas there was not that same same issue with single-family homes. So we did craft this to exclude areas that we saw as not being a problem at this time. If the numbers were reversed, maybe we would do it the opposite way.
Okay.
Brian, to your point about it being a business, and I respect that, but if a person has a problem with business A and they don't like to go to business A, they can go to business B. Whereas these tenants, they don't have it. They don't have that opportunity all the time, especially if they're with a Section 8 voucher, and they're kind of resigned to where they can go. So I think that argument has got is a weaker argument. Chief, let me ask. This came out because of high call volumes in 2013. At least that's what the summary breaks down. What's been the calls prior in 2012, 2011?
I can't attest to 2011 because we don't have a whole year's worth of documentation during that time. 2013 was pretty much the same. We're starting to see some decline now, but we're not sure whether that's a weather-related decline or an actual decline. What we've done is we've gotten some people moved out of some of the problem complexes who've moved out of the city, actually.
How's our hotline number doing? Has that become a tool? I know that came in place in May of last year, that the hotline. Have we been able to, remind citizens about using that?
We do, but it really hasn't had an impact yet. We're looking at some other alternatives because it has not really caught fire yet.
Alderman MacIver?
I think when the police committee looked at this, we started talking about this goal setting session and asked the chief to dive into it a little deeper. The idea being that, trying to be proactive in a changing environment. There's going to be, there's a lot of different things that are going on. We have more, gambling, more this, more that. Now we're talking cannabis. I think it was meant to be a proactive measure, and I think the young lady in the audience specifically talked about Naperville. While Naperville, a much larger community, has I guess they have more of a voluntary participation program. On their website, the city's website, they say the anticipated benefits of participating in the program are reduced police calls for service, a more stable resident base, and a reduced exposure to civil liability. And so the idea here is, this is really, just because someone is is living in Section 8, under the Section 8 program, doesn't mean that person's a criminal. I mean,
Right.
what we're talking about is addressing, probably, unfortunately, 99% or more, whatever, of the residents are wouldn't be affected by this at all. We're trying to deal with, I think, that small percentage that actually cause harm to the people that are trying to live, or have no other choice but to live in multifamily housing, and have nowhere else to go. And when you have this kind of a hot spot, and, obviously the calls for service, I think, when the chief came, we asked about best practices in other communities, and Attorney Murphy certainly serves other communities that have, addressed this. And when I look through, and obviously, again, I'm not an attorney, I didn't compare our ordinance, how it was drafted compared to other communities, but other communities like Orland and, I didn't have the whole list, but there's many, many communities in Illinois that have adopted this kind of an ordinance. And I think it's one of these things where, hey, this is a safe community to live in, and, by living in this building, you're saying that you're gonna abide by these kind of rules. So, I thought of it as a positive, proactive measure that wasn't going to hurt the majority of the population in these facilities or these residences.
And
Thank you.
And I'm just one last thing, and I'll stop. I'm proactive too, and I know that we're saying, oh, it's only gonna be 10 units. But what if we're not all gonna be on this council forever? What if we have a different council that comes in there and it goes from 10 units down to single family homes? I'm also proactive. I'm also looking out for the future for our residents.
Well, I guess the reverse side could be, say we don't adopt this, that same change in council can still do that anyway. You're talking about 7 independent voters and members of the council that could change any ordinance in the future. I mean, I think thinking forward, it's,
But once you have the ordinance there, it's easier to adjust it. That's all I'm saying.
Alderman Belke.
I think the intent here is good, that, we're looking for the safety of all the tenants here and trying to hold the landlords more accountable, especially if they live out of state. They have to provide their contact information. So this could be in their favor too, in the case of an emergency and they need to be aware of something. And I think that the way it's written, there could be some common sense to it, if I'm reading this right, where if the tenant engages in criminal activity, a landlord could claim the entire lease has been violated. But it says it could. So in the case of maybe an 18-year-old kid, maybe that landlord would have a teenager of his own and maybe kind of understand that this is a one-off and wouldn't press charges or something.
Let's call for a vote here, please.
McIver,
aye.
Belzak,
Aye.
Belke,
Aye.
Kenny,
No.
Shower,
Aye.
Seifert.
No.
5 ayes and 2 nays.
Wait, I missed
Wait.
one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Marquez.
Aye.
5 ayes and 2 nays.
You feel
I
bad? I'm up
apologize.
here.
Okay, the motion passed. Let's move on to item 18, is the questions, comments, and announcements of a general nature. Do any of the aldermen have information to share? If anyone in the audience want to speak to the council, then I'd like to ask for,
What about the Citizen of the Year reminder Saturday?
yes?
Right? We all excited?
I heard that some of the aldermen are not attending. Who would that be?
Well, I just didn't pay yet, so can I pay Alderman Balky?
Sure.
I brought my checkbook.
Who else is there any other aldermen aren't attending?
going.
Okay. Yeah, I heard from the committee that there were some aldermen that weren't going, and I thought, holy cow.
No, I just didn't.
Alderman Casey, do you have anything on the pancake breakfast lines?
Yeah, the Darien Lions Club is holding its pancake breakfast at Eisenhower Junior High on Sunday, March 23rd, Tickets, you buy tickets now, they're $5. You buy them at the door at $6. They have eggs, sausage, and all the pancakes you can eat. Doors open about 7 o'clock in the morning, and we're done about 1. We also have a split the pot raffle, and it proves to be a nice day for a nice morning. Hopefully we'll have a little nicer weather that day, but if you need tickets, I don't know if I think we're advertising on Channel 6. I think the information's there, but the gentleman who runs the tickets is Andrew Brunson.
The Boy Scouts are having their pancake breakfast this coming Sunday.
coming
Same
Sunday.
place, same location. And they do a great job, too, the Boy Scouts. So if you really love pancakes, you can do 2 in the month of March.
I think our pancakes are better than.
Ah.
And
They use our grills.
well, since we're on the fundraiser kick, then let me throw it. When I come back in the seat the next time, I'm going to be bald. On the 16th of March, I will be shaving my head like I do every year for St. Baldrick's.
Okay.
I have an item too, Madam
Oh,
Mayor.
yes, go ahead.
The Rotary Club of Darien is having a fundraiser at Carriage Greens this coming Tuesday, March the 11th. And the funds that are raised will go for a backpack program which supplies food for 100 students within District 61 who do not have enough food for the weekend. So please come out and support us at Carriage Greens this Tuesday from 6 until 9 p.m.
Wait,
Okay.
like tomorrow, Tuesday?
No, the 11th.
11.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Are we going back to exec session?
That's right, we're going, that's right. We're going to adjourn back into,
Well, we can adjourn this meeting and then we'll just.
okay, motion to adjourn this meeting to go into executive session again. Alderman McIver, seconded by Alderman Shower. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.